Today, I sit down with Julia Campbell to talk about creating your course on your own terms, your own way. We discuss why people will still buy your course even though they can get the information for free on the internet, and how to get people in a price-sensitive market to invest in themselves with your offering. Speaking of offerings, if you're still feeling a little bit lost on what you're going to offer or what your course is going to be on, you're in those beginning stages, just trying to figure it out, I've created something just for you. It's a worksheet and a full-on guide. The worksheet is going to help you decide and understand more about what knowledge you have and what type of offering you could turn it into. Course, workshop, service-based business. And then I also have a complimentary guide that goes with it that's going to help you generate your first $1,000 while working under 5 hours a week. So it could be 30 minutes a day. No big deal. Anyway, I just had someone reach out to me and thank me for that worksheet because it helped them get a ton of clarity on what they were going to do next. So that was super exciting for me to get that message, and I hope that you'll have the same results with that. So if you want a little guidance, you want to get off on the right foot, go grab that worksheet and that guide. I break it all down for you. Just go to thechrissichin.com/profit.
Hey friend, welcome to the Badass is the New Black podcast, where our motto is done is better than perfect. I'm Chrissy Chin, here on a mission to help you take your knowledge and turn it into a profit. I'm an expert in course creation and membership offers that create reoccurring revenue so you can work less and enjoy and earn a whole lot more. Most importantly, I'm a laid-back wife, mom, a friend who started as a peds nurse, turned network marketer, and now a serial entrepreneur. This podcast is for ambitious people with an idea, a vision, but no idea how to get there. On this podcast, I'll give actionable steps to keep you moving forward while you learn new business strategies, better systems and process, marketing, sales, all the things that you need to build and scale a blissful business that keeps your pocketbook growing. Grab a beverage, open up your notes app, and let's get to it.
So excited to have Julia Campbell here, named as the top thought leader by Forbes and BizTech magazine. Julia is an author, a coach, and a speaker on a mission to make the digital world a better place. Julia's books, online courses, webinars, and talks have helped hundreds of nonprofits make the shift, digital thinking, and raise more money online. Julia, I'm super excited that you're here. Thank you for being here.
I am fangirling so hard. Such a fan of your podcast. Thrilled to be here.
I love it. I love it. I'm excited to have you here, mostly because I'm really excited about the topic that we're going to talk about. A lot of people are struggling kind of in this little area that we're going to talk about here. Yes. About kind of deciding what your course is going to be about. People that are feeling a little bit intimidated by, doing it a certain way. And then also people that are feeling like, who's going to buy my course when they can get this information for free?
Yes.
So let's just kind of dive in. I want to hear your background, because a lot of people listening are really trying to figure out, what am I going to do a course about? What am I going to do a membership about? How am I going to serve these people? So I'd love to hear your story, just kind of how you got into serving nonprofits.
Right. Well, I studied journalism in college, and when I left college, actually what I found was that it was really hard to get my dream job, which was traveling around with National Geographic and being paid millions of dollars, or working with Rolling Stone or somewhere fancy. So I ended up joining the US Peace Corps. I lived in Senegal, West Africa for 2.5 years, and I worked with a lot of NGOs there, doing a lot of projects and managing a lot of sort of moving pieces, living in a village, and just really experiencing a different culture and kind of getting out of my comfort zone. And then when I came home, I realized that I wanted to continue working in the nonprofit sector, doing fundraising, doing marketing. So I worked really within the sector full-time, had a, full 9 to 5, or, as we know it, like a 9 to 9 kind of job for many years. Then, I think maybe a lot of your listeners can relate to my journey to becoming an accidental freelancer. I was laid off from my nonprofit job when I was 8 months pregnant with my daughter, who is now actually 12, going into 7th grade. And I had to make a decision. Was I going to And I had a master's degree at the time. So was I going to go back, get paid $40,000, have to commute, never see my daughter? Or was I going to try to draw a line in the sand, kind of put my flag out and hang my shingle and say, I am a freelancer. So I did that for a while, writing grants, doing social media, writing press releases, pretty much anything I could find on, Idealist or Craigslist. And then my business now, I work strategically with nonprofits exclusively. I help them manage kind of digital overwhelm and create digital fundraising campaigns. And I have 3 different courses, and I do a lot of different webinars and online trainings, really to help them increase their confidence and clarity around how they can raise money online in a space that's constantly changing.
I love it. I love it. So what would you say to someone who is like on that verge of like, should I do a course? Should I not do a course? Like, what am I going to do my course on? I mean, it seems like you obviously took your knowledge, and this is, what I teach and preach, like turn your knowledge into profit, right? Take the knowledge that you have, take the skills that you have, and let's figure out how to serve your community, through a course, through a membership. And so, what was it for you that really was like, all right, now I'm going to transition from freelancing to a course?
So I was doing consulting for a few years. And what I found, similar to what a lot of your guests have talked about, what you've talked about, Christy, is that you come to answer the same questions over and over and over again, or you see the same hurdles. If you're serving a very specific niched client, if you're serving your avatar, the people that you're meant to serve, you're answering the same questions or you're seeing the same challenges and problems. Now, I did a lot of listening. So I had an email newsletter before I ever sold anything for probably 2 years. I've been writing my blog for about 10 years, doing free webinars, doing joint venture webinars for probably about 5 years. So I've really been in touch with the community that I'm serving. And I wanted to do my consulting for a little while. So I felt like I had some testimonials. I felt like I had some street credibility and I had some results that I could share. And I knew that my process worked. But what I found was that, especially with nonprofits, not everyone can afford a consultant, right? Like not everyone can afford a one-on-one consultant. And I am not cheap. I am not your bargain basement consultant. I have a lot of experience. I've worked with a lot of clients and I'm not charging, $20 over here. So what I wanted to do, I wanted to serve a greater number of people. And I wanted to do it in a way that was really affordable. And I also knew exactly what my clients wanted. I knew exactly what my avatar wanted. I knew that they were really looking for a way that they could, for instance, really monetize, say, social media. So we're on social media all the time, but we're not converting people. How do we actually convert people to donors? Or how do we actually get people on our email list and then convert them? Like I sort of knew the questions and the challenges. And I actually wish that I'd launched courses sooner. I think I just had that, first of all, imposter syndrome. Secondly, thinking everything had to be perfect and tied up in a shiny bow. I had to have all the technology. I had to have all of this. And then I ended up just sort of launching my first launch was just really to my email list, a few social media posts, and it ended up really being a huge success. And I just built on that.
Awesome. Your story is basically my story. So guys, rewind, listen again, because there were some golden nuggets in there. Really knowing your audience, like knowing everything about them, knowing what they want, because I've said this before, people buy what they want, not necessarily what they need. So how can you figure out what they want, but also give them what they need?
Yes.
Right. So that they can be successful. They can get results. They can turn into great testimonials for you. So I love that you really knew your audience. And so I think that's, kind of one struggle is people just kind of dive in with, I have this idea and I'm just going to go for it. It's like, okay, let's do some market research, make sure that people want this. But also there are a lot of people kind of in your situation, in my situation, that were knee deep, working with people and develop the course because of that. But also,
I just want to say another thing that I think really helped me was that I came from the sector. So nonprofits, they are a very different animal than I think your traditional consumer or maybe your traditional business. They're very skeptical. A lot of them have worked with consultants before. A lot of them are not necessarily tech savvy. They're not as into the online marketing world as all of us, we are. We take courses. I take courses all the time. Sign me up for the next shiny new course. I love it. I love online learning. So even trying to convince them that, first of all, I'm trustworthy. And secondly, that this is worth doing and that they can get something out of it. There were so many mindset blocks and shifts that I continually still have to overcome. But really speaking their language, they knew I was a development director. They knew I was a marketing director. They knew I'd worked in the trenches in nonprofits. And so that definitely helps me be able to speak to them in a more authentic way.
Yeah, which leads me back to what I was just about to say, was that also if you are that person, like you are solving your own problem, or you learned how to solve your own problem, and now you're going back to serve the people that are where you were a year ago, 3 years ago, that person very well because that was you, right?
Yes.
How did you said something about, they were very reluctant. It's almost like you kind of had to convince them that they wanted this and that they needed this. How did you do that?
Well, I do a lot of webinars. So I have done a lot of free webinars. I've done a lot of speaking on stages virtually. I've actually written 2 books. So I feel like I built up my audience and convinced them to come on this journey with me way before I launched my course. So it really wasn't a solution looking for a problem. It was a solution that actually had a problem that people were telling me that they had, but I didn't know. I really didn't know. I knew that people had asked me for some kind of cheaper, low-cost training. They'd asked me, when is your next webinar? When is your next speaking engagement? We can't afford to hire you one-on-one, but we love your blog. We love your email list. And it really was just kind of taking, like you always say, taking imperfect action. It really was. It was saying, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm not going to invest a lot of time and money up front. And I think that was the key for me. Is the test was, I'm going to beta test this. I'm going to beta launch this, and I'm going to do it live. I'm not going to spend $10,000 and record it and not do client work for 6 months and then see if people want it. I'm going to sell it first. And if they do want it, then I'm going to run the best live course that has ever been run. So that's really my philosophy with the course, is to test it out to see if people will purchase it. Because as you know, everyone will say, oh, I want this, I want this, I want this. But when it comes time to pull out their credit card, it's a little bit of a different story. So that's really the only way that you will know if it's successful, is you could test, I pulled my email list. I have a Facebook group of like 14,000 nonprofits. I asked them, I talked to my clients. I did all of the things. I even did the Amy Porterfield Digital Course Academy calls, the qualifying calls. I did all of that. But at the end of the day, you do have to sell it. You have to actually give them something where they can put down their credit card. And that is the part where, you definitely learn from it if it doesn't work out as well as you want, but you learn what people are willing to invest in and what people are willing to pay for. And that was just a huge eye opener for me. Yeah.
To just validate that point. That's exactly how I launched Build a Blissful Business. For the first course for this coaching brand was coming up with the idea, coming up with the outline, selling it before any lessons were actually created.
Yep.
Sold it. And then I was like, and ran it as a live launch. We're going to move through this one module each week together over 6 weeks with the intention that it could definitely be standalone, evergreen moving forward.
Yep.
But it was like, I'm kind of someone who works well, but not well against deadlines. Like I'll just continuously push it out until I say it out loud, announce it on the podcast, set up the webinar and say this course is happening. And then like, oh crap. Okay. Now I actually have to create it, but I will create it. I could be recording the night before.
And then people are counting on you.
Yeah, totally. So that I'll hold myself accountable in that way. It's not the most glamorous, non-stressful way to do it. I'll be honest. I don't know if you have a similar feeling in that, because you're racing against a deadline. So unless you have a full team of people to really do all the little things, and I know you do solo, so we'll talk about that too.
Yes.
So it, isn't the most relaxed way to do things, but sometimes it's just, you got to push yourself off the ledge to just go do it and stop overthinking and overanalyzing and saying, is anyone going to buy this? Well, let's just see. Let's put the concept
And there's kind of two ways to look at it. I mean, so I believe there are multiple ways that you can launch, multiple ways that you can run your course. And I'm a gigantic fan of Elizabeth Buckley Goddard. She is a British online entrepreneur, and she really inspired me to sort of get started before you're ready and to launch your idea before you're ready. And she does a combination of live trainings and also recorded trainings, which she then sometimes runs live whenever she decides that she wants to. But what she does with her live trainings is she responds to her audience. She sees what's getting them really excited. What are they interested in? What is really jazzing them up? And that's what she puts on Evergreen, and then eventually might run it live again at some point. So she has all sorts of different revenue streams, all sorts of different trainings. She does not have that one signature product that I know we're all told we have to have the one signature product. She has a huge product suite. And she was kind of my inspiration when I really went full bore into doing online courses. Like perfect is better, or not perfect. Done is better than perfect. And there's just, you have to respond to your audience. You have to respond to what they want. I know for my audience, they're nonprofits. They're not going to spend $3,000 on a bright, shiny course like Impacting Millions or like DCA Digital Course Academy. It's just not something that they're going to go to their boss to get money for. It's not something they're going to get reimbursed for. It's just not something they're going to spend money on. And also, I think it's very intimidating. So they love live teaching. They love live coaching. They love the interaction with each other, the Q&A. And I just know that is what my audience really likes. So I hope to be providing that for them for the foreseeable future.
I think that's really solid advice to create it like twofold. I'm always about creating the business that you love that supports the lifestyle that you want. So a lot of people do come to me wanting to do Evergreen because they literally want to be on vacation and just kind of see that, money rolling in when someone purchases their course, which is great. But I love that it can be whatever you really want it to be.
Sure.
One of my private clients loves doing the work with people. So she wanted to serve more people than just one-on-one, but she didn't want to take that interaction away. And so it's like, perfect. Let's create the course so you have this support with you. They can do the lessons again that you, like you said earlier, you're saying the same thing over and over again. You're solving the same problems. Let's put that into the course. But yeah, you can live launch it, do a live workshop that then pitches this course. You can do the live trainings with the course. So really it can be whatever you want it to be. And then also thinking about your audience. So I love that you said your people really want that interaction. So you're also creating it based on what they want, which means you'll have a better conversion rate, because if they want it, again, they will invest.
Yeah. And it's very exclusive. I mean, now I have 3 courses, and I used to just have 1, but now I decided I have 3. I just love creating content. That's also my problem. I love creating content, and I love solving new problems that people come to me for. So I have a course on social media, a course on storytelling, and my new course is all on specifically running a digital fundraising campaign. And I run them once a year. I mean, that's it. Run them once a year. Occasionally I will sell the recordings, but very occasionally. So to me, it's very exclusive. It really is. Like, if you want to get in this year, you got to get in, and it helps push people off the fence. And then people also know. So now they've started to know, okay, she's going to run social media for Social Good Academy in February, right? I already know, I can plan, I can budget. Storytelling that sticks is always in June. And now my new course is probably going to be always in September or October. So I have people that have stuck with me all 3 courses. I have people that are just waiting for the one. I have people that have come to me, taken the course, and then became a one-on-one client. I mean, there's all sorts of ways that you can sort of come to it. But also the ways I do launches they're very not stressful. They're really not stressful. Some emails, I do some Facebook ads, I do a couple of Facebook lives, I do some social media. I don't spend 24 hours a day glued to the screen. And, I don't really stress out. I'm much more of the view, I will tell you what I'm making. I'm making it for you. I'm making it based on your questions and based on what you want to hear from me. And I will invite you here. And then I will tell you, I'll remind you a bunch of times, but I am not about browbeating people and beating them over the head and sending 72 emails. And that's another thing about my clients is they don't like that every email, one email a day for 2 weeks. That would never work for my clients. It's more like 5 to 10 emails, very low key, a lot of interaction, a lot of answering emails, a lot of answering DMs, a lot of answering phone calls and things like that. And it's just really understanding what your client needs and wants.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love that. You're like, it's like no big deal, no stress. No. So do you have all that?
It really, yeah.
Do you have the content created before you start marketing?
Well, now I do for the other 2 courses. And now that I've launched them a few times, it's a lot easier. The new course is harder because I have to create it, but it's all content that I have. So I've either been writing blogs about it, or I've been doing webinars here and there pieces, or it's something I've worked on with a client. It's a process that I've actually run and used with clients. So it's not coming up with something from complete and utter scratch usually. Yeah. And this is something I always run into. I overthink it and I put too much content in. And what I found with my audience is they want it distilled down. And I think that's true for a lot of people. So not trying to put all the bells and whistles, every possible thing you could ever know about social media. Just tell me, how do I get from A to Z, right? What do I need to know? And how can I simplify it? Because people don't need more information. They just really need to know what is the most important information for them to achieve the transformation or achieve their goal.
That's a perfect transition into a topic that I wanted to cover, which is for the person out there that is like, they have this idea for a course. They know who their audience is because they work with those people. They know what the problems are and the struggles, and they know that they can really help them. But then they have it stuck in their mind. They're not going to pay for this. Who's going to pay for this? Because they can get this free on YouTube, on social media, and, wherever this is out there. So we were kind of chatting about this before we hit the record button. So I'd love to kind of dive back into that. I know you've got some good insights. I might have some things to throw in there. You also work with a price sensitive audience. So, I think that kind of falls in line with this. If they're price sensitive, aren't they going to be going and looking for the free stuff? So what have you done, and what would you say to that person that is, having that mindset block that no one's going to pay for this because they can get it for free?
So the people I work with are very price sensitive, but they're incredibly time crunched. So they are not going to go to Social Media Examiner, my blog, every other social media expert out there and try to piece together, how the heck do I start a Facebook fundraiser, and how do I really use it? And what are some good examples? And then how do I keep it going? And then how do I create momentum? You could definitely spend probably a week of your life trying to sift through a lot of the stuff that is kind of garbage out there. Like a lot of the free stuff out there is really just the why, like why you need this, why you need to do digital fundraising, or why you need to do social media, or why you need to do storytelling, and very little about how and what are the steps you need to take and what is the exact process that you need to follow. And that's where I really believe in the paid content, distilling it and putting it into a system or a framework or a blueprint. So when I teach my free content, it's very high overview. It's sort of, this is what you should be doing, but this is not how exactly you should be going about it. And that in my paid courses, it's always step by step by step. And we usually run 5 weeks. So it's usually 4 steps, 5 steps. And here's what you need to be doing now. Here's what you need to be doing now, because that's what people are paying for. They're really, and that's why they pay consultants, because they want to be shown the framework, the blueprint, and the step-by-step, and they want to actually know what to prioritize and when. And that is, I think that's really the value. If you're creating something that's paid, how can you differentiate it from all of the fantastic free content that you're putting out there that you should be putting out there? I firmly believe in that. That's definitely how I built my business and how I became established as an expert in the field, putting out a ton of free content, getting people to trust me and know me and like me. But then when you work with me or you go inside my course, it really is, here's a worksheet, here's a checklist, here is the exact framework that I walk through with my clients. And that's what's going to differentiate your free content from your paid content.
Yeah, I 100% agree. So thinking about, if you're listening, of course, you're going to step back and think about your business, what you're doing. Think about how many years it's taken you to get to this point to learn everything, and how can you fast track it for someone? Because it's not just your audience. We're all busy. Like it's just the times in the day you would think things would slow down. No, we are getting busier and busier. It's getting noisier and noisier. That's the other thing, is there's so much content out there. While you might think that's to your disadvantage, it's actually to your advantage, because there's so much that it causes a ton of overwhelm. Like you said, there's a lot of people out there that it's not really great content. It's a ton of the why and
it takes time to sift through all of it. Did you ever read Chillpreneur by Denise Duffield Thomas?
I have.
It's my favorite book. So it's called Chillpreneur. Denise Duffield Thomas is absolutely fantastic. She talks exactly about this. She talks about how anything that we're doing should be framed in terms of saving time or money. So any offer that you have is always going to result in either saving time or saving me money somewhere along the line, because time is money. So that's sort of how I frame it. I say, well, you could go and Google a bunch of videos, and you definitely could look at all of my free webinars throughout the years, go through all my Facebook Lives throughout the years, and somehow piece together this weird piecemeal formula. But I'm going to give it to you, and I'm going to give it to you in 4 weeks, and we're going to go through it together, and it's going to be streamlined, and you're going to walk away with a plan. You're going to walk away with an actual plan. And then I think she talks about this as well. The value is telling them you can avoid the overwhelm and strip out all of the nonsense. And I will give you really the nuts and bolts that you need, because that, like you were just saying, I do think that the overwhelm and the constant churn and the constant noise and notifications and all of the stuff out there can work to our advantage if the people that we serve are very strapped for time, which I think all of us are. I don't know who isn't strapped for time.
We are. We're busy. We're just getting busier. So use it to your advantage. I love what you said. If you can save them money, if you can save them time. And the other one I want to add is give them peace of mind.
Yes. Peace of mind.
So those are the 3 that I always, when you're marketing, when you're selling, think about what you're doing. Can you save them time? Tell them how you can save them time and what they'll be able to do when they have that time saved. Yes. Can you save them money? Maybe not.
Yes.
Most likely you can, even if you're a B2C, a business to consumer, and you're not helping them, or I say make more money. Can you help them save money or
make money, save money? Yep.
Exactly. And then that peace of mind, most people don't pull the trigger because they're just not sure. They're not sure they're going to be able to find the result that you're promising. So that's where, on your sales pages, those frequently asked questions, that's to help you kind of give them peace of mind. That's where testimonials come into play.
And the who's it for, who's it not for? I'm such a fan of sales pages that say who it's not for. I really value that.
Yeah.
And I think that's incredibly helpful to people, because really you don't want people to go through your course that are not ready for it or are not prepared, or it's just not for them right now. That doesn't mean it's no forever.
Yeah.
But it doesn't help them, and it doesn't help you as a business owner to constantly be shepherding people or trying to, manipulate them to sign up for your course.
Yeah.
If they're not right for it.
Yeah. Yeah. You want to draw in the right people, because that's what brings in lasting consumers that once, like Julia, now she's got her product suite with lots of different options. They can move through that process and not be one-time customers, but lifelong customers. And you can support them long-term. Okay. Last thing I want to talk about before we jump off is, how are you doing it solo? Girlfriend, because you have
it's not a badge of honor.
You have a very successful
I know. Sometimes
business.
it is.
But
gosh.
Yeah, I want to hear just some of your tips and tricks too, because there are a lot of people that are getting started and they don't have the funds to go just hire out a bunch of stuff. And I'm of the mindset, if you have some extra funds and you hate doing it, or you're not good at doing it, or you're pressed for time and you just want to get it launched, and you can hire that graphic designer to do some of your graphics for you, because you're literally going to go crazy if you do them yourselves. Like, do that. For the people that like really can't, I'd love some thoughts and advice and tips on how to make it work for you.
Now, I also want to say I have 2 kids. I'm married. I have a pretty active social life. I'm on the school committee. So when people ask me, how do I do it? I just simplify. So another author I'm a huge fan of is Michael Hyatt. And he talks about focusing, and he talks about really streamlining. He also does talk a lot about hiring out, which is something that I do have on my list to do this year. Like the one person that I do work with, because I just started a podcast, that was when I realized there's absolutely no way that I can do this podcast 100% by myself. Also, because I don't know how to edit a podcast, and I don't know how to put it into, Spotify and Apple. And I don't know, it's magic. It's basically just magic, right? I don't know how anyone does it. So that was when I realized, okay, I do need to outsource this to a freelancer who can do it for me. But mostly I'm just incredibly, really brutally organized. So I have like a bullet journal. I will show you. It's all like color coded. It's got all my goals, all my to-do lists on it. And then I'm also just a very good delegator in my personal life. So my husband, it does take a village really to raise the kids and get them to activities and do all of those things. So we're just a real team in that aspect. But I have made a decision in my life just to say no to so many things. So what's crucial is to identify what is an opportunity and what is really a distraction, or what is something that you think is like a big ego boost for you, but it's not going to help you really move the needle on your goals. And then also saying no to projects that you might really want to work on. That's been something that's been really difficult for me. But for me, what I value is I value my free time. I value my time with my family. I value like not working on the weekends. And to me, there's nothing wrong with having team members, but I never wanted to grow and scale in a way where I'd have to worry about salary or overhead or other people, just because I'm thinking I just kind of want to take off for the week, or, go away with the kids, or take the day off. And I would never want to have to worry about, another team member. But that being said, I don't think you should take all of it on yourself if it's not necessarily in your zone of genius. Like getting a bookkeeper, there's no shame in that. Getting someone to, edit your podcast, if you're not an editor, if that's not what you love to do, then you absolutely should be doing that. But for me, it's worked out really well. And yeah, I've really enjoyed it. I've enjoyed the ride so far. So we'll see where I am in a few years.
All right. So you guys have to be really organized.
You do have to be super organized and cut out everything. And then also don't feel bad if you don't respond to people's text messages for a few days. I always have to tell my mom, I can't talk. Sorry. Talk to you at 7 p.m.
I'm busy. I'm busy, mama.
I'm busy.
Well, I mean, you are doing some things, you're hiring out for your podcast. I think like just kind of inching into it, finding those
inching into it.
Yeah, I think it's totally fine. You know, when there's something that you're like, I really need to offload this, just finding the budget to be able to do it is just a huge time saver. And then that you don't have to launch into like, I'm solo and now I have a 10-person team, right? It like starts with that one person. Yours is starting with that podcast editor.
Yep.
And so you're going to see, I just have a hunch that you're going to see
how much time it saves.
Just how amazing it is to just be like, okay, this person, that is on their brain, you know, it's floating around in their head. I just don't have to worry about it after I'm done recording and it's taken care of. And then you'll think, where else could I do that in my business?
Exactly. Right? Exactly. And it is like you said, I think it's funny when I talk to, you know, my husband about it and he thinks I mean hiring, like you said, 5 people on a salary with benefits. And I'm like, no, I just mean somebody to like pick up the kids. Like that's the kind of outsourcing I'm talking about right now. Or just someone to, you know, check my email once in a while and respond to email. So I think you're right. There's totally different levels and you do have to inch your way into it. But it also, you know, I do realize that the only way to scale, if I wanted to scale, would be to hire people. So right now I'm fine where I am. I just look at everything as seasons in my life. This is the season I'm in right now. And potentially I could grow into another season and it could look completely different. So it's just all about where you are and what you're comfortable with.
Yeah. And what you want everything to look like, life by design. So it's like, if you want your business and you want to be in it and it's working for you and you have the free time that you want and you're able to do the projects you want, then there's no shame in that. Like you do you, right? And if you want to then, you know, have more free time and, you know, hire something out and like pass that off, then you can do that too. If you want to live launch your course and have live sessions with your people, you can do that. If you want to create it all in advance and, you know, pitch it through a pre-recorded webinar and people jump in and they're just taken care of because you did an amazing job setting everything up, you can do that. Like, don't get stuck on, I have to do it how Julia did it. I have to do it how Chrissy did it. Leverage. And this is what I like, pride myself in doing is helping people figure out what they need and moving in that direction. Not saying you're coming to me as a coach, whether you're working with me privately or you're, you know, in the Scale to 6 community and I'm going to push you have to do it evergreen. No, like, let's figure out what's going to work for you. What's the lifestyle you want in 1 year and 5 years? Okay, what do we need to do now to make sure that you have what you want? Because that's the only thing that matters, right?
Exactly. And there's so many ways to go about it. And that's what the beauty of online business is. That's the beauty of the internet. That's the beauty of just being yourself. And that's really the only way you're going to be happy is if you're doing things on your own terms, the way that you like to do them for the people that you like to serve. And that's really how I've really tried to organize my life and my business. And I know it's really the only key for me to long-term sustainable happiness. So not everyone has that privilege. Not everyone has that opportunity, but if you're listening and you're struggling, I mean, just see what makes you happy, just see what makes you unhappy in your business and try to emphasize the things that you love and de-emphasize the things that you don't like.
I love it. We're going to mic drop it right there. I love it.
Thank you.
Perfect ending point. How can we connect with you more, Julia? Because I know you've got, and you serve, why am I totally blanking?
Nonprofits.
Thank you. You serve nonprofits.
Yes.
But can other people benefit from your offerings, you know, or is there any way to connect with you and learn more from you?
Yeah, I actually have an interesting following of nonprofit consultants and people that want to be consultants following me, just kind of seeing how I do things. So my website is jcsocialmarketing.com. I'm on Instagram, Julia Campbell 77, and you can connect with me there. I'm pretty much on all the socials, but that's really where I hang out. But my website is where my blog is. You can find out about my podcast and other great things.
Okay. So is that what should we be sending people to your podcast, to your blog? Where should people be connecting with you more?
Sure. Well, my podcast is Nonprofit Nation Podcast. I release a new episode every Wednesday, and actually all my contact information is there as well. So the podcast I designed not just for nonprofits, it's really about leadership. It's about resiliency, especially in a post or not really post COVID world. And I talk to all sorts of different, really interesting people about all sorts of different types of topics, just basically whatever I want to talk about and my cool friends and cool people that I've met. So probably my podcast is the best way to connect with me.
All right, perfect. You guys, we're going to have all the links in the show notes, so you can head over there, visit her website, subscribe to the podcast, keep following Julia. She's been amazing. I loved having you on the podcast. It was so great to talk to you. And I know that the people listening are going to find so much value in just all of these little nuggets across these areas that we shared today. So thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for tuning in. If you got some value out of this episode, I would love some support. And the best way to do that, so I can keep showering you with loads of actionable tips, is to hit that subscribe button. Leave a review or a comment if you're on YouTube, and share this podcast with a friend. And when you share it with a friend on social, please tag me so I can reshare your share in my stories. It's been an absolute pleasure hanging out. I appreciate the heck out of you for showing up. And now it's time for you to take imperfect action so you can work less and enjoy and earn a whole lot more.